I suppose I had the most run-ins with B. Smith. She was the top dog, and we were sort of wrestling together for control. There were times that she won. Oh, she used to gloat so much. Her character, if she ever got the upper hand, was just the worst gloater in the world. We probably locked horns more than any other character. And I really met my match when when I came up against B. Smith. She was, again, that word formidable character, and a wonderful top dog. I mean, she really ruled the roost. She had so much presence and so much power and so much authority, all the things that my character imagined that should only have been with prison officers and not with prisoners. I don't even think that Vera would have thought about a grudging respect, but I can think now, in retrospect, that maybe there was a little bit. But it made Vera all the more determined that she got her comeuppance in any way. And I suppose it made... I think the fact with B. Smith... They were in for passing the time of day in the best way possible and getting up to as much mischief and putting Vera under as much pressure really made their day. They enjoyed that. And trying to get around, or so much manoeuvring, was how can we do this? How are we going to get around Vera? And by getting around, it created a lot of humour from the prisoners, not much humour for Vera, of course, but that was a big element in the show, was how are we going to get around Vera? How are we going to pull her down a peg or two, or how are we going to put her offside? So they made for some fun storylines, and I admire Val Lehman very much as a person and as an actress, and somebody who always stood up for all of us and herself, Oh, and the thing that I wish I'd had, she could look at a page of a script. She had a photographic memory, so she just looked down and because sometimes we got rewrites and they could be late in the afternoon, and she'd already had about 35 scenes, and we'd get all these blue pieces of paper for the extra scenes if we were running a bit short, and she would look down and say, right, I'm ready. Well, I'd be poring over it, saying, oh, not yet. The characters that were in the show. Well, Lizzie and Doreen, a prime example of two characters that were actually written in a minor sort of way to begin with. They weren't really even expected to stay in the show. But when it went to air, their characters and their sense of fun and mischief and their comic timing that they had together, they became huge. And Sheila was one of the most loved characters ever to be on Prisoner. So that was an example of people who came in that were going to be there in a minor way that really took the show to another level, and they were hugely successful. And both terrific people and good friends. And I think that's why the show was so successful, and it was phenomenally successful, and it was really, really nice to be involved in a show that was so successful, was because I think... that they got the casting right, the casting of all the characters. I think that they got them right. And now looking back on it, I always preferred the show when it was in the prison, and now later on I still prefer the shows that were actually in the prison, because they don't age the same way, because as soon as you step out, you've got the long, broad, the suits and the fashions of the day. Which sort of didn't apply to the inside of the prison.